everybody. Welcome to episode 104, which is crazy for no particular reason, with the amazing host Yanko Yankov and myself, Kerri Lewis. On Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central Time, and 8 a.m. Pacific Time, we show up and talk about nothing, everything, and anything in between that catches our fancy. And so I'm super excited to be here after a workout, drinking my coffee in my skull mug with my amazing friend. What's poppin', Yanko?
I, like yourself, have my big jug of coffee because I also love coffee. That's one of the things we relate to each other about.
Absolutely. And your cup has hearts on it, which makes me happy because another thing that we both relate to is unconditional love. And so anytime I see hearts or love or whatever, it just makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, it's a reminder. It's like, yeah,
Always.
it's
Everything's
there.
a reminder. Anyway, let's just
Yeah.
jump right in. I actually shared this yesterday as on a solo tangent that I went on for the bright side, but I wanted to share this to get your thoughts. And we're going to probably speak a lot about the same things we talk about
Okay.
each week, but we do not all exist in the same frequency. We may all look like we are here together, but you exist at your frequency and others exist at their frequency. For some, this world is paradise. For others, this is hell. Only one who attempts to change their frequency can experience the paradise dimension. It's right here coexisting with hell, but you must vibrate higher to see it, which love that because it's what I experience. And when I think about a lot of the spiritual gurus and theology that I've read, there have been a lot of great sages who say, I don't, they get asked these questions and they say, I don't exist in the world that you're discussing. And so as I have worked to heal and to understand things from a broader perspective, I've changed my frequency and can say, for me anyway, that statement is pretty true. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are, Yanko.
I'm 100%, and that's right on the dot because I had a similar thought early on before we even got online, and I was thinking about the same thing. Is like how we coexist in this reality, and everything appears that it's shared, and we all have the same, you know, co experiences, but even with like multiple people in the same room, for say, they color their experience with their thoughts and their experiences, and they have totally different experience. Even
Mhm.
so, we share the same space and we see it through our own lenses, and we color it and we call it, but it's true. And then
Yeah.
we go even further to fight with other people to tell them that we're right and they're wrong, or to validate our own experiences of whatever we have, which is kind of like
Yep. But it's so true. And interestingly enough, right after I read that, maybe the same day or the next, I had this awesome video that came across my experience by Ram Dass. You and I both have a affinity for Ram Dass. But what he essentially said was, um, it is not our job to keep to tell people they're in ego, to to let them know they're existing in hell, essentially. Even if it's your mother, even if it's your child, our job, we can bear witness to globers. I don't know what a glober is, but that's kind
uh,
of cool. I'm with it.
same.
Whatever floats your
Sure.
boat. In fact,
Yeah.
we're talking about perspective, so you're certainly entitled to that perspective, and I appreciate people's thoughts. But yeah, so for me, sharing that is giving people information to understand that as we do this work and we raise our consciousness, as we raise our vibration, we will experience joy, we will experience abundance, we will manifest whatever it is that we desire. But we also must we coexist with people who manifest suffering, who struggle, and our job isn't to show them that there's another way by telling them they're doing something wrong. But I do think there's value in me embodying joy and being able to exude that quote unquote paradise that I live in, so that hopefully it gives people a different perspective, and it, help them to make a different choice if they so choose.
Yeah, totally. And I
So,
like the chat. It's off the wall today. You guys are
I
bringing me more
love it.
joy. The guy on the bottom believes in a rounder. This is me. Um, yeah, and depends on where and how I vibrate. I might believe into flat Earth or some kind of other dimension of Earth or upside down Earth or inside out Earth. There's so many possibilities.
Well, that's the thing, is we do exist in different dimensions. And so I don't even have to ask the question, because quite frankly, I don't care. Why waste my energy on trying to figure that out in the first place? I work, I'm pretending to be a flat earther. Well, first off, Jim, we appreciate you engaging in the conversation seriously, because every conversation and message you type is an energy exchange, and that's a gift to me. So I really do sincerely appreciate you. But I will also say that, I, as Yanko very well knows, because he knows me well, I focus my energy so much on having joy. Like, I just want to have a good time. I don't care if the earth is flat around. I don't care if people believe that. I don't care if you're purple or you like this. I really do care that I stay in joy, because in joy, I operate in a high frequency and I do experience paradise on earth.
It gets even it gets even
You're
funnier.
over here dying.
You're reading the comments. I just
I,
think.
I am not atheist. So I'm guessing you haven't watched the show before, but I can't speak for Yanko, but I am very, very deeply connected to energy, spirituality, and just connection with love. At the end of the day, it's unconditional love. It's freedom from fear, which I believe is the whole purpose of being in this earth in the first place, is to transcend fear and to operate from unconditional love. And that is true unconditional love, not judging you, Jim, for your beliefs or worrying about what Yanko believes, but just being able to share in this experience, the human experience, from a place of curiosity. And on Instagram, I see Queen Chia Marie. Hey, Queen, I haven't seen you since the gala, but yes, stay enjoy just as yourself. I know you do amazing work with people, so thank you for joining. All right,
Yep.
what you got, Yanko?
I was gonna say I believe in aliens.
You know what's wicked funny? I was talking to Billy, my youngest daughter, the other day, and I said, I suspect we're gonna have an alien encounter this year. And
Yeah.
she's like, literally, fuck it, mom. Leave it to our family to have the damn spaceship land in the yard. I was like, because my kid thinks I'm a little woo woo, and I get it. I put them in the school system that conditions kids to conform to this society, to meet the needs that are continuously perpetuated. And so I have to recognize that they are going to think about my views and have contrary beliefs, and that's okay, because I grew up in a education system and I came to my understanding through trial, tribulation, and questioning everything I was taught. And so whether she believes or not is irrelevant.
I was just gonna say that I don't go for either team. I don't have to be in a group or
Our Insta chat says aliens. Yes. See,
yes.
I mean, to me, I have to tell you. So, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I love you so much. God love this man, but he is a hard stick his stake in the ground. There's no such thing as aliens. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, we are constantly experiencing infinite possibility. How could there possibly not be other life? It just doesn't even compute in my mind.
I mean, everything it's idea of our minds and whatever we put our thoughts to, that's what the bottom line it's coming. I'm coming to believe that more and more, because if you compare it to sleeping in your dreams, everything looks so real that even the body reacts, and you might wake up from the dream and you have a heart pounding and heavy breathing and going like, oh my god, I thought I'm dying. So I mean, if you compare that in anything you put your mind to, whatever you consume and you feed your brain with, and that keeps on playing within, that's what you're gonna manifest. And I strongly believe that's why some people live in heaven and earth, and some people live in hell and earth, because that's what's going on inside. If
And they're
everything
not
it's
wrong, and that's the thing, and that's
yeah,
why,
yeah.
to the person who Samuel, I'm not here to dissuade you from that. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's at the end of the day, does that really matter one way or another? No. But I want everybody to believe what they want to believe for themselves. Yanko and I are only here, and I know Nana feels this way too, is to have you consider a different perspective. You could think that me and Yanko are batshit baloney, and that's okay. Like, you get to, but if you suspend what you think you know in order to potentially have a new experience, where you open up your brain for massively wild possibilities that you can't have if you already have made an assumption that you know the answer, because the minute the mind decides it knows, you've closed it off for a different perspective. Is That's all I say. And I love everybody, whether they exist in hell on earth or heaven on earth, because we're all one. If you know what I mean, like, that's like me not loving myself. I can witness their experience and know that they could have a different experience if they so choose, but it's not for me to decide your journey. My job is to love you. And I was thinking about that earlier because one of my daughters is going through something. And as a mom, my inclination is to give her all this advice and impose my thoughts about what it is she's experienced. But that's not my job ever. It never was. My job is just to love her. And if she wants to talk about it with me, she will. But if she doesn't, that's okay too. And I don't need to change her situation. That's for her to navigate.
Not I won't even say that, needing to change the situation, that comes from the place of needing to control
Mhm.
and to kind of validate your own whatever underlying beliefs or whatever your belief system is, and then trying to impose it on somebody else. um but if that's put aside, then there's only being, and that's it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because absolutely, like, I have 100% been taught that as a parent, I'm meant to control my kids, like, for sure. And I imagine you navigate this as well. Like, we do
Yeah,
fall back into old
yeah.
patterns of belief, but to your
or
point, like, I
or
always what?
people come in and project in a situation and tell you, oh, you should be this kind of person, or you're a responsible parent, or this and that. And I'm like, thank you, you're entitled to your opinions. you know
Uh, Absolutely. But I do have to examine, and even this morning as I'm working out on my spin bike, I'm like, why am I so uncomfortable watching my daughter go through this? And so many things came up, so many things. And I just laughed. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Because it's all, and then so now I've gotten into this habit. Ego, 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 there you are. ego trying to control, but you're not my shining star. Like, I make up songs. I just sing to it all the time. I'm like, I'm just gonna be like, whatever.
But it's true though. It comes out and it tries to fill its insecurities or run old stories or whatever it's happening. But this is why, like, Ramana Maharshi and people like have practices where you go and find out who wants to have that. Yeah, there you go. That's the guy. But look at his mischievous face though. He's
I
just kind of
you
like,
know, let me just tell
yeah, kind
you,
of like,
yes,
sitting and like let's go.
I've studied world theology. You know who my favorite people are? The people who get it, because they always have that devious twinkling gleam. Even the Dalai
Yes,
Lama, if you watch
yes.
him in his interview with oh gosh, he was a bishop, Desmond Tutu. The two of them were like kids, and I'm like, ah, see, you guys are real ones. You get it, because that's it. Like, it's so funny. And I know I said this last week, but I'm gonna say it again. I watched my youngest daughter perform in Willy Wonka, and my favorite lines in that whole play is, Wonka, are you crazy? Or, oh, this is crazy. And he's like, isn't everything? Which I
and
100% love.
but this becomes more conscious when you're more present in the being. You start
Yes.
to see and hear different things that you didn't pay attention to before,
Real
even
quick
when you're
shout out
driving.
to Queen Chia for inviting her friend to follow our show. And shout out to you for joining. We appreciate you. If you have any questions or thoughts on energy or joy or anything, really, because this is a show for no particular reason, we would love to engage with you. Um,
The very
but
least we
since,
can do, the very
yeah,
least we can do, it's share our perspectives.
yes. But I wanna shift completely,
Go ahead.
because my cousin Nifa, who is gonna be on our show, but she and I were talking, and she was telling me that, she's super sensitive to energy. And I was like, fuck yeah, I totally get that. And what I've come to understand is, we really do. We're entrenched with each other's energy at all time. And for years, I would go through all of these meditations, go learn from all of these teachers, all of these different experiences that zip up your energy, right? You can go into meditation, you clear all your chakras, you zip up your energy. I have never found that to work. If I am around anxiety ridden people, I feel their energy. Now, can I be clear about the fact that it's not my energy? Absolutely. Because if I'm wicked happy and I walk into a room and everybody's super anxious, I know that it ain't me. But I want to hear your perspective on this idea that you can zip up your energy and not feel anybody's energy when you're in this shared space with them.
Well, my perspective is that you're not really zipping up your energy. You're disconnecting more on the duality. You're disconnecting from the whole and kind of contracting. And the same thing happens when you're hurt. You don't want to be hurt. You're closing your heart off and you don't want to feel the feelings and you kind of like contract instead of expanding.
Yeah,
So, in my mind, you're not in through experience, you're not really um, protecting yourself. It's more of a kind of contracting
separation.
state, yeah, separation, because we're in the wholeness of everything, and
A
we
hundred
share the
percent.
space, and we're just like different waves and mashing with each other, and so if I give that as example, if the one wave it's a little warmer than the other one, of course there will be sense of maybe difference, but they're all made of the same material. They're all like combining, and everything that's happening is just energy in motion that's doing its thing. um, and that was a huge thing for me at the beginning because I wasn't um, capable of separating of like what happens within this instead of like what's being, entangled with. Like this could be entangled with many other things in the room,
Yep.
and can have the sense that this is happening because it's getting blend with everything else in the room. But then there's also the sense of like, okay, this is what's happening, but it's not particularly this, or it's not me feeling it, or it's not mine, or whatever, if that makes sense the way I'm explaining it.
Oh, thank you so much, Queen. And you have a beautiful and blessed weekend. We appreciate your energy and thank you so much for sharing. And you're welcome to join our show on any Friday at 10 if you want. So let me know.
That's
But
right.
anyway, yes. And so I want to go back to the reason I bring that up is people really do. I think it benefits people to be reminded about the crab analogy. So if you're around people on the regular basis who are doom and gloom, who are like Eeyore, oh my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
just sharing in that energy, right? And if you're a positive person, that's an energy suck and it becomes draining for you. Now, am I gonna sit here and say I'm not around people who may not vibrate as high as me, or they may? Sure, of course I am, but I tend to be very, very, very particular about who I experience life with because that matters. And yes, Queen, you are right. She said, be the spark that changes the room. Absolutely. But you need to recharge that spark. And so often people don't realize. And it's not our job to keep plugging in all of these people. It's simply not. Our job is to shine even brighter and brighter because when you embody joy, you give other people permission to start to examine their beliefs, shadow patterns of behavior, and start to experience more joy for themselves. But if I keep bailing out people just by being in there, but then they just want to keep on feeling badly about themselves and then they see me, I'm not interested in that dance anymore. I'm just not. And I know
I want,
me
I
and
want, I
Yanko.
want, I want, I want, Steven, I want personally see it as a job because I don't think I need to have a job or title or anything. I just need to be. And if I'm there, it's there. And I would even go further to say that I feel like that gives me more opportunities to look deeper within and find the peace in any kind of situation,
Mm,
because it's easier to escape the world and go in a cave and just sit and be zen, but it's more challenging to have the zen mindset when everything breaks around you and going cuckoo
100%.
bananas like you like to say.
Yeah, but I also think I get it, but given that I work with people who struggle with addiction and I work with people who can be very entrenched in unconsciousness, right? Like they're and to be clear, what I mean by that, guys, is you've just never examined your beliefs. You grew up with a certain set of belief systems, you've cultivated habits and
You took
behaviors,
it and you run with it. Yeah.
and you just run with it. You never examine it. That's what I mean by unconscious. So for me, there is value in communicating the importance of giving yourself permission to step away from an environment that would serve to help you stay stuck in those patterns of behavior. And the reality is the people who love us most often operate from a lot of fear as well. And so there's some of the people who want to, in the crab analogy, pull us back in the bucket because they themselves have never examined their beliefs and habits. And thus, watching somebody ascend out of what they know can feel really, really scary. And yet, in my opinion, my personal perspective, it's necessary for the expansion of your soul, which I do believe we're meant to expand. The universe is constantly expanding, right? The mind is constantly expanding, information is constantly growing. So I believe that is an important part of the human experience.
Yeah. Like I said, that was just my personal opinion.
Well, look at, I mean, you're not wrong,
I know
right?
everyone is different. Some people need different types of meditations, different practices, different people. They need different environments. This is why we have so much variety of everything. We
Yep.
have different color cars, different clothes, anything, sunglasses. It's go crazy, man.
A
You find
hundred
what you vibe
percent.
with.
I love that though. Vibe with what you vibe with. And
Yeah.
the only thing, and I remind myself of this all the time. Um just understand universal laws, because those are non-negotiable. Like there are certain laws that you and I exist in that just are. So if I send out energy, energy's coming back to me, right? If you send out force, opposite and equal forces must come back to you. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you. Do whatever floats your boat. In fact, my boyfriend put on a sparkling green Tinkerbell dress the other day with wings, and that makes him super happy, right? He's harming no one by doing what feels right for him. But if he cuts somebody off and flip them the finger, well, he's sending out force, and that would then ultimately have to come back to him. And that's where it's important that we take ownership of the fact that we create our reality. We just simply do. And we have a responsibility to understand these laws so that way we can live in heaven and earth instead of hell and earth, unless you want to. And then, you get to create that for yourself too.
In not in a fearsome way that like some people were saying back in the days in some religions that if you don't obey, God will punish you and this and that. No, it's just
No,
like gravity. You have the experience, you learn from it, you get the experience, and you find out about the experience yourself. It's like somebody telling you burning, are you gonna burn yourself? How would you know until you burn yourself? Then you go and you say, now I know what they mean. So it's kind of the same way. not
absolutely.
not that like, oh, if you don't play by the rules or the laws and you're gonna have this, it's no, it's not a fierce thing. It's cause and effect.
Well, 100%. That's the same thing with karma too, right? And that's where I am not, I personally am not a fan of any organized religion that has these specific rules or adherences that you must follow in order to be connected with source, because that's ridiculous. You can go outside in nature and connect real quickly if you're tapped in and tuned in. And really everybody does, because it's a rare person, not always, but it's rare that a person can't go out in nature and start to feel peace.
Because you're connected. You cannot be
100%.
connected. The minute you're disconnected, then this dies and you're no more.
Yeah.
If you're here, then you must be here because you're part of it and you're connected. So everything else is an illusion that the mind plays, and you can go in any different directions, and you can have different services that you perform or different things, whatever brings you joy. You know what I mean? Go crazy.
Go crazy.
Yeah,
Abso-flippin-lutely.
yeah.
Yep, 100%. I love it.
Yeah. So, religions are religions. They're just another thing, like
But
cars.
it's
You know.
it really is to keep people in conformity. Because I truly believe there are 8 billion plus unique expressions of creation in this human experience, right?
Mhm.
Whatever. That's for a reason. We were never supposed to be like each other. In fact, Nana and I are completely different on so many things. The only thing that we really can say that we agree on, like that we are aligned in, is our core values. unconditional love, compassion for all, joy, like empathy, like just things that. But in terms of living our lifestyles, I mean, he sees a bug and he loses his mind. And I had a bug. I was on I was on a call with a client yesterday, and I had come in from a hike, and I had a bug crawling across my lip, and I was laughing my ass off, and the client's like looking at me, and I'm like, "Welcome to the world of Kerri, where I have bugs."
did you like lift it with your tongue? Go, yeah.
No, you know what? I'm pretty chill when
that
it
that
comes
could have
to
been so
bugs.
funny though.
No, no, my God, that like gives me the heebie-jeebies. Ugh,
Uh,
no,
that that
no, I
that'll
I don't
that,
even
that'll
know if I
break
could.
anybody out of their mental loop in the moment. They'll be like, "What?" They'll have to go within, expect their belief systems, and be like, "Did this just happen to me, or what's going on
It
here?"
really would. That is so true. I mean, but yeah, I don't even know that I could eat like a fried cricket if I go to like I don't know, man. Like who knows? But like the idea gives me the cringe. So I
No,
don't know.
it's just funny. It crossed my mind, so I had to share it.
Would you eat a live bug?
Probably, I don't know. Depends.
We gotta get you on Fear Factor then.
Uh,
You can do all the
I
crazy
don't
stuff.
know. Like just before we started the show, we were talking about the gories and the other side and how everything is. And once you accept that everything is, nasty or pretty or whatever, it's the two opposites. So you can be in the one opposite and neglect the other and say, no, 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 that doesn't exist. Only this exists. Then yeah.
Well, I mean, it is true. I just again, in the interest of experiencing joy, I don't know how joyful that would be for me.
If it makes you laugh.
Oh, that touche, which it did yesterday because it was so priceless. You can't make that up.
If it
I'm
makes
like,
you laugh, you'll be joyful. You're like, oh, what's happening here?
that is
So
so funny. But what else you got? I'm over here literally putting
let's
pressure
see.
on my.
Let's see what we have from our viewers. If Earth was flat, hang on, I'll bring it up.
Oh, that makes sense.
Hmm?
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what's insane is so my family lives in the United Arab Emirates, obviously the desert, and the past 2 years is the first 2 years in recorded history that they've gotten like torrential rain, and because it's only the past 2 years, they don't have a sewer system, and so all their houses are like leaking, and the boiler exploded all because of torrential rain. I'm like, that's wild. That's an experience if you ever had one.
Anything can happen. I'm kind of like I need to verify for myself kind of person. So I can say that is or it's not. You
It
know,
is or it is not what?
I mean, flat or whatever. Um, because again, depends on the perspective and the experience in multiplicity of realities, in timelines, in different dimensions, and everything. There is all kinds of creations of different things. So, if this exists here, then maybe in another place, flat Earth also exists, or in a reality that somebody experienced in their mind that also exists.
Yep.
Although when I skydived, um, I would say I was kind of high enough to see how everything was kind of starting to bend, and
Yo,
becoming
no
round.
no BS, Matt. I'm with that. Like I definitely that's on my bucket list. I would 100% love to do that. And you're right, seeing is believing.
Yeah.
That's why I encourage people to suspend what they think they know and open themselves up to different perspectives, because everything that Yanko and I speak about, we've experienced. It's not some concept that we've read in a book or some idea that science touts. It has been experienced through the practices for me of surrender and whatever. I can't speak for Yanko, and so I wholeheartedly believe that, experiencing is believing. So that's an important component to expansion in any form, is suspending what you think you know until you have the experience, and then you learn more.
Well, here's a perspective for you. We can't trust our senses because they can mislead us, and in the way that you can be hallucinating, and people do in different times during the day, they can have a negative or positive hallucination. You might not see your keys where you keep them in the house when you're in the rush to get out and get to a place, or you might see something that didn't existed. And in the same way, when the brain constructs everything and puts it up together, you have this like a dark spot in between both eyes that you can see if there is an exercise where you can bring up a book and that'll show up, but your brain just takes it off. So you have the full experience of like having the whole thing going on in the front of you. So I won't say that seeing it's believing, because that could also be a misleading thing, because you might see something where you're hallucinating and you convince yourself that it's that because you don't know. The same applies with other senses. And this is why the yogis go beyond even senses and they go deeper until they find out what's behind everything.
Which, as I understand it, we will be experiencing a new earth. I mean, we are witnessing the collective consciousness. Oh, of course, Matt. Yo, I like that. I'm gonna put this up here. So again, I know my perspective in Yanko's is the same, in that we're not here to do anything but appreciate a good conversation and sharing the
Exactly.
energy exchange.
That's why we're having this going every
Yeah.
Friday. Yeah,
But to your point, like that's the thing. The minute we feel the need to name call or stuff, I always encourage people, ask yourself where that's coming from. Why are you so tied to an opinion that you feel you need to resort to um like a defensive protective
defending
mechanism?
it. Yep,
Because
yep.
it really ultimately is something within yourself that, if examined, you can let go of, and then you no longer feel you can bear witness to other people's opinions, and um have a good healthy conversation without being offended or trying to change another person's opinion. Yanko and I feel differently about a lot of things, and I respect and love him immensely. I don't need to change his opinion about anything.
Same goes here too. Um, Again, if and the whole thing comes from like your morals and whatever you've been ingrained into for your upbringing, how people tell you what things are and different things, and you just kind of didn't question it and took it and you ran with it. And even with like parenting, it's like your kid asks you, Why is that?" And you say, "Just because it is," and go with it, you know. But even with explanation, um, that will just be a one side of whoever lens at seeing it. And some of the Eastern teachings have a good thing where they put three blind men to describe what an elephant was, and they were all like touching different parts of the elephant, and they all give, the answers of whatever their perspective was about the elephant. You know, one saying, "Oh, the tail it's like a rope, so the elephant must be like a rope or whatever," and the other one was touching the ears and so on. So it's good to have perspective. You know, different things.
Yeah, 100%. I Yeah, even with my daughters, I always say my understanding is, and it's I really work to preface how I speak with them in that way because I don't want to project my experiences onto them. I want them to come up with their own understanding that feels true for them without them feeling like my way's right and their way's wrong or vice versa, whatever. And it is a practice because as somebody who's experienced life for 45 years, witnessing a 17-year-old, a 18-year-old do life, I do want to impose my understanding about things, but that's not for me to do because then I've kind of jaded their experience, you know?
So sometimes I do without even thinking it that I'm doing it. It's like a knee jerk reaction that happens, and I catch myself, and yeah.
So, Matt, I have to actually agree with Matt on this uh thing. I have never been a fan of it is what it is. Or my favorite when I was young was because I said so. Like, well, that don't mean crap to me because you said so. Well, I don't care about because you said so. I want an explanation as to why I shouldn't do drugs,
And you
right?
want it,
Like,
and you want it now, and you want it now. It's
yep,
like you're getting somewhere, and it's like, daddy, 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 why is that? And it's like, let's go, but tell me
yep,
why, because I said so. But no, tell me why. But no, no,
yep.
no. But let's go.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But I do
different.
agree with Matt. Like at least giving some context because we're curious by nature. Like that
Of
is the
course.
gift of the human experience is being super curious and wanting to understand. I will say my father was phenomenal. I mean, granted, this is dating back to whatever, but they always spent money on Encyclopedia Britannicas because this was before computers. So anytime I asked a question, my father would say, "Go look it up." And now that I think about that, that was a really beautiful gift he gave me because it always allowed me to one, get curious and learn how to use books and then thus the internet. But two, he didn't just give me the answer. He challenged me if it interested me enough to do the work. Well slayed, well played. Oh, I vibe with your handle. Is that what it says? Oh, well slayed, well slayed. I like that. I always tell my kids to slay the day and they say I'm old, but that's okay.
Well, I usually ask him and I say, well, what are your thoughts about it before I tell you what I think? Like, tell me what your conclusion is. Make him think and do whatever. Tell me what do you think? You know, Sometimes if I'm in a playful state, I'll throw him a curveball and I'll say, no, that's not how it is. That's how it is, to make sure he argues with me and tell me, no, 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 you're wrong. This is how it is because and this and that and this and that, and be like, okay, good job.
Ah, that's so funny. So I could probably bang out 15 push-ups, but I don't think I could do 30. I know I could do 15. And are we talking about military push-ups or are we talking about closed grip tricep push-ups? Because if we're talking about tricep push-ups, I'll probably get like 5. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's probably talking about Lalinian push-ups.
What? Alien
Lalinian
push-ups?
push-ups.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
where you have your hands all the way and you like in your fingers and you push up like
Oh my
that.
god. Yeah, no,
You have to have
you
like
know
a
what?
really
I'll look
strong
like
core.
Superman because 'cause I'll face plant on the ground. Yeah, I'm good. Oh my god, you just brought up this. I was in a core and more class last week, and there was a sub because the original teacher couldn't make it. And they're both great, but this lady was obsessed with Supermans. And I don't know if you're familiar with Supermans, but like you lay on the ground and you lift up your legs and your arms, and then you either act like you're swimming on ground or you like. Anyway, it was. Let's just say I ain't gonna miss doing Supermans for a while. When I explain to my children things they wonder about, I give them the scientific answer. Then I give them the perspective of what people may think or say. I love that.
Yeah, super cool.
What are we doing? So, well slayed, well slayed. This is a show called No Particular Reason. Yanko is a hypnotist. I work in
Look into
mindset.
my
I know.
eye.
Addiction, recovery, and mental wellness space. And this is a conversation about energy, about shifting perspectives, mindfulness, and really anything. I mean, because we talk about push ups and whether the earth is flat. It's whatever you guys care to engage in, as long
Ghosts,
as we want to
aliens,
engage with you.
anything
Because
that's
if you
out
start
there.
going
You know?
down
Yeah.
a road that we're not in the mood to do that day, we won't. But we're pretty open. I mean, I'm
Flat
pretty.
Earth. We're talking about that today. You
Or
know.
humans living with dinosaurs. I know that that's something that people, you know. So the one thing I would say to Matt, where I always get curious, and please feel free to share your opinion, is science changes. I mean, all of the things that we once knew as truth because of scientific understanding has been it's evolved and shifted and changed, and it no longer rang true. So I always say at this moment, this is what we understand
Yes,
to be
that's exactly.
true. Oh, well, so I mean, I don't care if it is or not. Like, it's not even something I care to put my energy on, but some people do, and that's cool. Um, but yeah, so that's where I'm at anyway.
Yeah, it's
Um,
getting chatty today, which is amazing. I love it.
yes. Oh, Matt, oh my God, I love you so much for this because you just landed on something that I'm very impassioned about, which is I fundamentally believe that parents and teachers, our job is not to teach kids what to think. It's to teach them how to think. I think that is where we've really, really strayed away from um, the education in America is we don't teach kids what how to think. We teach them what to think and we condition them all the time. I see it all the time, even within my own kids. And so I love that you said that because when we give the gift of being curious and feeling safe to challenge our parents' beliefs, what the school teaches us, right? We that is where you create Einsteins. That's where you create Teslas because you've just opened up a world of possibilities for kids where they don't feel like they're going to be punished for being wrong or they're bad because that's not what you were taught. I love that so much.
I mean, but the whole system, I think, it's designed the way it is,
Of course,
for a reason to
control,
obey and stay. And
perform,
we're just talking about it yesterday or the day before. The weather was good and the kids were out, and my wife went to pick them up, and she was telling me like, oh man, you should see like the teachers, they have these whistles and it's like a military, and line them up and they obey and they go count him and this and that. And I said, well, what do you think this is? I think it's prep for becoming, you know
part
person
of
that
the
don't ask
cause. Yeah.
questions, just
Which,
do.
by the way, I like in my head, all I can think of is Pink Floyd's "We Don't Need No
Yeah.
Education." We don't need no force control. I don't know the rights to that song, but shout out to Roger Waters and David Gilmour and all the people at Pink Floyd for nailing it in the 70s. But of course, then we vilified all the stuff because they were on drugs, so everything they said couldn't be right, and it's just control. But that's okay because I'm bearing witness, and I'm sure you are too, of a whole collective of awakened people who are no longer subscribing to just doing what it is we've been taught to do, and that is fundamentally why we're seeing the breakdown of things unfold because people are challenging what it is we've been taught.
I mean, in Coast Change, it's scary too, because it's like you don't know what's gonna inspire it. It's like, um, You know, you don't know if something changes how things are going to be, and that's very stressful for some people.
Yeah. Well, not for nothing, Matt, but I
Let,
think it would.
let's bring it let's bring it a little more so people can actually read it,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's a long sentence.
Well, no, listen.
We read
I
it,
was
but like the
I
viewers
was
might want
oh, I
to
didn't see that
see.
one. No, that's well slayed. So Matt said that they've discovered bones with human remains thousands of years prior to what we thought they existed. Not for nothing, I would absolutely love to have lived with the dinosaurs. That to me would be cool. I would love it. But anyway, of course, I'm not being chased by a T-Rex. So, yeah, see, I love that so much, Matt. I mean, I mean, I could go down a whole rabbit hole with this conversation because I think the education system was created in the industrial revolution to keep kids busy while the parents went away into working in, industries outside of farming and stuff and blah blah. We could go on and on, but I do, from a energy perspective, and this is where I come from, is we as humans are not meant to be sedentary. We're meant for movement. And so being in front of a TV or a tablet really creates a dense energy in an individual. And so movement is so important. And thinking. So even like sitting in stillness, if you're examining your thoughts and stuff, that's a movement of energy, and that's really good
Yeah.
too. But just numbing out to something, I agree with you, Matt. We're watching the decline of imagination in kids, which breaks my heart because imagination is a prelude to what it is we see.
I mean, I think it's a side effect maybe from television and other things, because back in the day before TV and everything else, when people were, sitting in communities and the elders were telling stories, everyone that listened to the story can envision it in their head and play it differently. And it'll be like, whoa, because they'll get to engage all their senses of like feeling, smell, whatever. Almost like hypnosis.
Yeah.
But with the TV, everything is set and there's no possibility to change anything. They show you the character, how it's moving from the one side to the other side. It's limiting. It doesn't give you the whole thing as you would get. And this is why I also come to a conclusion that reading a book about when they made a movie cannot beat the movie. Never. Like you read the book, you have the experience, then you go watch the movie and you go like, nah, that's not even close to what it is.
So, Matt, if you ever want to be on our show, you're welcome. I 100% agree with you there too. So, on the YMCA that I go to, there's this beautiful mural of Martin Luther King, and it says "Teach Peace." And every time I laugh at it because it's a joke. To teach peace, you have to know peace. So really, I would
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
said no peace, because to what Matt just said, respect, education, all that, 100%. It Our children mimic us. Talk is so cheap, and for the listening audience who doesn't know, I struggled with addiction and so many things for so long. If I hadn't changed my behaviors real time in front of my children, I would have embodied addictive behaviors, depression, anxiety, whatever. But my kids, through the course of their life, have watched their mom unfold, right, and continue to grow and expand into a very peaceful person, right, who has taught, you know, my children through the way I treat people respect, courtesy, compassion, empathy, kindness. And I have so many parents who want me to work with their kids, and I'll start to work with their kids, but the parents' behavior doesn't change. So I go to work with the parents. The parents aren't willing to examine how their actions are directly uh, in correlation with how their children behave. And so that is why I agree with Matt 100%. Talk is cheap. If you really want your children to be the change we wish to see in the world, show compassion, be curious, then we
Yeah,
must first embody that.
lead by example. Lead by example.
100%.
Show them
Yep.
how it should be. You know, and then ask like, is it that's
Oh, so sorry, I'm reading. Um, what are you guys' passions? The same or something different work? Go ahead, Yanko.
my passion at the moment? It's more about self discovery and consciousness.
Yeah.
It's related to the work I do. So, more in work, looking within, understanding the reality is, and everything else.
My passion is neuroscience, quantum physics, and consciousness, but also I have a very strong understanding that we create the reality we experience. And so my passion is holding space for people to get curious about their own beliefs. My job isn't to tell you what to believe, it's to give yourself permission to examine those beliefs and decide if they serve you. And if they do, keep them. And if they don't, how do you replace them and learn tools and strategies for self-care and in order to continue to expand? Because as you do raise your level of awareness and consciousness, you shed what doesn't match that consciousness, and that can feel really hard for people because some of that could be family members, it could be friends, it's all different things. So, and then lastly, my passion is fun. So I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to
Yes.
paint, I love romance. Yeah, I mean, I'm a goofball. I like to have fun, and I love skulls.
I love technology, computers, different things. Yeah, that's where we're not aligning, where we're different.
Anytime
But
you talk to me about some I don't know, what is it, programming or like algorithm or code, my eyes gloss over and I'm like,
well, this is where my critical mind kicks in, because I'm kind of like trust but verify kind of guy. Don't just take the word for something. Like, I have to experience it myself and find
uh
out.
I wanna touch upon this. Matt, I 100% agree with you. I am self-educated since I was 14 in a variety, everything from theology, philosophy, psychology. I do not have a degree, but I have a degree of living. I think that is fundamentally the most valuable degree because I've seen so many people with papers saying that they're educated in whatever who project their own mess into the world thinking they're helping people because they have a degree. And look, that's no diss on college, right? I know so many people who really truly are curious and to Yanko's point, self-aware, like constantly examining. But I think that you absolutely could add value to that space. And in fact, I built a global business in 6 years because I embody the work I do. And you nailed it. If you embody it, you can absolutely do that. So shout out. I hope you do that if that's your passion. But with that, we're on time. So do you want to close this dance out for us?
You want to close out with like a nice song because people like your
Uh,
singing skills?
okay, let's see. We thank you, Matt and Welleslade, for coming to play today. Queen Chia and all the Instagram crew, we do appreciate you. So keep on staying curious. And until next week, I don't know. Damn, I dropped that. Let's see. Until next week, stay glorious. Oh, okay, okay.
All right, all right. Well, thank you guys. That was
Thank
such
you
fun.
guys.
We
Until
love
next
you.
week.